Welcome to Comfort Havoc number 2. So I just finished making 2 videos, and if you haven't gone to watch my BJJ do's and don'ts kind of video, or think it's under training my nieces and nephews, the do's and don'ts of BJJ, then you should go check that out, especially if you're going to watch other videos that I just made outside a few minutes ago that I'm about to post. I was live on TikTok. So TikTok, you finally got a whole session. Now the thing about martial arts, there are a fuck ton of things that people are not taught when they go to these schools. There are a lot of people, and I'm not gonna steal anything from McDojo life because you should follow Rob, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. There are a lot of people who really won't teach you shit until you pay them, and I don't think that's right. No, but I'm also not saying that those people are McDojos. I'm just saying that I don't think that's right. A lot of the schools I went to wouldn't teach me the tornado kick, even if I asked and tried to get them to pay me more money. First, I learned the tornado kick from watching Ninja Turtles. The very first one with Ernie Reyes Jr. as one of the turtles. It might have been Larry Lamb, actually, but it was somebody who was a Ninja Turtle. Whoever played Raphael, I learned it from watching him. Then, by the grace of God, later down the road, someone would teach me the hurricane kick, which is the damn tornado kick. If you take Kempo, then you know it's a hurricane kick. Where if you take Taekwondo, you know it's a tornado kick. You see the clusterfuck that is right there, right? It's the same damn kick. When I was in Taekwondo with Master Ennis, he would not teach me the Taekwondo tornado kick. Alright? And as you know, every teacher of every style teaches things differently. And they all, somehow or another, have magical lessons of legends from China. Now, Master Ennis was a white dude. Alright? He was every bit of a white dude. He was raised in Japan, so technically he was a white Japanese dude. Where basically he was a Japanese dude trapped in a white man's body. Alright? Because he was pretty much raised in Japan. God rest his soul. Or at least that's the story he gave us. Who am I to say that he's lying and who's not? But I will say that the one thing I did learn from him is that I had no patience. However, and I state this with the utmost respect, however, I have learned a lot about myself in not having patience. I have learned that sometimes my impulsiveness works in my favor. No, I've had to break myself out of that habit because when I was younger, I was quick to jump into a fight. I was real quick to jump into a fight, just like, "Hey, fuck it," you know. And as I got older, when I got better with martial arts, I wasn't so quick to jump into a fight. And it wasn't because I was afraid of what someone would do to me. I was afraid of what I would do to them. Because I honed my body since I was 6 years old. When I started taking martial arts, it only made me more dangerous. When I got into the high school years, I became more lethal than I probably should have been. And when you sit there and you know what you can do to somebody, a truth that they rarely tell you, it's one you kind of have to learn on your own. As a martial artist and as a person in general in life, I say this a lot, I stand by this. You don't have to like it, you don't have to stand by it, but the only true teacher you're going to have is experience. And no matter what anybody else says, especially if anybody comes at me after these videos, I'm going to tell you what they're not going to tell you. Your experience in a fight, whether it's in the gym or on the streets, your experiences in a fight is going to make you or break you. If you lose fights, you better learn how to lose them well. If you win fights, you better learn how to win them with honor and respect, especially if you're in the dojo. You can't be a sore sport if you're fighting in the dojo. You can't be a sore sport if you make your money fighting. You know, you're going to take a loss, whether you like it or not. There's going to be a day where there's just somebody who's got your number. Period. It's going to be somebody who's going to have your number. And if you are not willing to accept that, you're going to have a really short career. Because every time that you get into a ring and that one person beats your ass and people are going to throw that shit in your face, that person's going to have your number. And you have a rematch and they're still going to have your number. Because you were focused on that last fight and how that guy whooped your ass. Understand this. If you don't hear nothing else from me, if you don't take anything else from me, take this to heart. Your first fight is done. Your next fight is the one that's coming next. That's the one you worry about. The one after that's the one you worry about after your second fight is done. If you keep worrying about the fights that you've lost, you will continue to lose. Alright? Because like I just said, you're going to learn how to fight. You're going to learn how to fight well, or you're going to learn how to lose well. And it's going to be one or the other. And every now and again, there's going to be a double knockout, or there's going to be a draw, there's going to be a TKO. You're going to learn this shit. When you get in that ring, you're going to learn this shit. I know you're thinking, but James, you've never been in the ring. I've never been in a professional ring. I've been in a lot of fucking street fights. I haven't lost any of them. You know why I haven't lost them? Because everyone looks at me and they see somebody who's under 6 feet tall. They see somebody who's barely over 125 pounds, if that, and they see a victory. And then they get surprised because I don't look like I can handle myself. And then they find out the size of your opponent is not important. The size of your opponent's skill level is very important. Your experience in a fight, hear me now and hear me forever. Every time you get into a fight, you build experience. Rather you win or rather you lose, you build experience. If you don't take that shit to heart, you're going to lose a lot. So you better learn how to lose gracefully until you turn it around. Now I'm going to give you a prime example. I like this guy. I didn't like him at first. And then I liked him before he became the ground and pound dude that he became. And I like him again. Alright? I did not like Tito Ortiz. It's nothing personal. He never did anything to me. I just didn't like him. I don't know why, I just didn't like him. But when he became a ground and pounder, he became a winner. Because he used to lose gracefully. Alright? When he became a ground and pounder, I started liking him a little bit, but I didn't like the way he was winning. You know? And when he was retiring, you know, he matured a little bit the same way I loved Ken Shamrock. I loved Ken Shamrock as long as he was in UFC. When he was in WWE, I loved Ken Shamrock. I still love Ken Shamrock. But when he started doing the bad guy, when he started being the heel, like in TNA, whatever Impact is, I didn't like that. It's like, that's not the Ken Shamrock that I grew up admiring. You know? And the thing is, you know, octagon fights are real. You know? And the only thing that you're not allowed to do is kill your opponent. The problem is that I was never given an opportunity. And by the time they got my weight class and learned that small fist pack a wallop too, I was already face down in fucking Sand Hill at Fort Benning, Georgia. I have no hip. I have a hip replacement. There's like about a shard of metal this big in my ass. So there's no way hell I would ever be able to get in a ring now. Not in a professional setting. Hell, probably not in a fucking street fighting setting. But that does not mean I can't fight. It just means that I need to end that shit quickly before someone decides they're going to try to rip my hip out of my ass. You know? Now, here's the thing about fighting. Alright? I will say this until the day I die. No one is invincible. Not me, not you, nobody. As Rob would say on McDojo Life, the Any Given Sunday rule. I'm the exception to the rule. Understand, when I go into this fight, I have one thing on my mind. It is not to beat your ass. It is to survive. And there are people who fight to survive versus people who fight to win. When you are fighting to win, you are fighting for a victory. Your next victory could come with the next guy. It's not coming with me. Because I'm going to be that scared motherfucker that's going to do anything and everything to make sure that you don't put your hands on me. I'm not going to let you get me down. When you throw a punch, I'm going to throw a kick. When you throw a kick, I'm going to throw a punch or a knee. I'm going to do something that's going to severely put this fight on ice. Now, let me explain that. Because a lot of people who transition from amateur to pro UFC, they don't really go out and get in bar fights. I've never been in a bar fight. I've been in a place where there has been shootings in bars, but I've never been shot, and I've never been in a bar fight. But I scan all the doors because as a fighter, I know I need to know where that exit is. I need to know where my brothers are, and I need to know who's the biggest motherfucker in the damn building. I know you're thinking, why the biggest motherfucker in the building, James? Because I'm the smallest motherfucker in the building. And if I knock the biggest motherfucker in the building out, everybody in that building is going to look at me and say, don't fuck with that guy. Now, as my experience in fighting in the streets and fighting in the projects, I have knocked out many a big people. And not KO knocked out, but TKO knocked out. I've never put anybody to sleep outside of a few people that I've put in a couple of chokeholds. And they deserved it. They deserved it. But the thing is, a well-trained fighter isn't really going to lose. But he probably really isn't going to win if he's fighting someone else who's well-trained. And like I said, you don't know who the hell you're going to fight until that first blood is thrown. When that first punch is thrown and you can stop it, you better be able to read that guy for the rest of the fight. And if you can't, you're screwed. In my other videos, I talked about range of motion. I've talked about 70-30 because I'm going to tell you the truth. There's 100% of things that you need to learn. Martial arts is 200%. That first 150%, it's all right here. But you didn't think that was what I was going to say, right? No, that first 150% is all right here. It's all your mindset. Don't think you're invincible, because your mindset will go to 50 to 0 really fucking quickly. Know that you can be beat so that you don't get beat. Now, that other 50% is the physical. But that 150, it's all up there. It is that 150 you're learning, and you're learning really quickly. You're going to learn what works for you and what works against you. 2, the physical will follow. With the exception of some physical disabilities, the physical will follow. But you have to practice to make the shit work. If you're not practicing your martial art is not going to work for you. That's another thing where that 70-20 comes in. A lot of the things that you do in the dojo, you go home and don't think nothing about that shit. You go right on home, I'm going to go kick off a cigarette, I'm going to go drink a brewski, I'm going to go slap something in my mouth, I'm going to go kiss my wife and play with my children. I'm not going to think about what I did in the dojo. I'm not going to go home and practice. I don't have anybody to roll with. I'm not going to go home and shadow box. I'm not going to go home and do any of that shit. And you're fucking yourself. Practice does not start and end in a dojo. If you are a martial artist, life is martial arts. Practice every day when you can. Even if you can't physically get in an hour, you can get in 5 minutes. And if you're not doing that, you're slacking. Alright? I went 3 years, roughly, 3.5 roughly, when I got this hip replacement. The worst thing that a doctor told me in my life was, James, you will never do Kung Fu again. Ever. You will never do Wushu. You will never do Wing Chun. You will never do martial arts ever the fuck again. Oh, yeah, there's this. You can go home and practice. Let me tell y'all something. Those tools are great. Now, you can do a lot. It's morphin' time. You can do a lot with these things. You can do a lot. You can be graceful. You can do a lot with these things. You can't walk down the fucking streets in any neighborhood on any continent on earth carrying fucking kamas or chobos, other than in the dojo. You're never gonna be walking down the street and putties or ninjas are gonna fly out of the air and you're gonna be able to whip these bitches out. No. You don't carry these damn things every day. But you carry these bitches every day. And you better hone them bitches in. You carry these, you carry these. You carry them every day. They are your body. If martial arts is not a way of life for you, then it is just exercise. Period. I never got a chance to fight professionally because I'm 5'3" and nobody gave a fuck about me. I'm 125 pounds. I have to keep it at 125 pounds so that my hip doesn't get replaced before I'm 60. Which isn't too long from now. 20 years from now. I'll be 67, but it's still 20 years from now. Now, I'm as honest as I possibly can be on this YouTube channel. I give you guys 99.9. You got to get the whole 1,000 from somebody else because most people can't handle it. But when it comes down to martial arts, I'm going to be honest with you come hella high water. And you're not going to like what I have to say, and that's fine. But the truth is this. You can't beat everybody, and everybody can't beat you. But you can give everybody a run for their fucking money. But if you are not practicing, and you get beat up, or you get fucked up, or you get laid around in the corner, you know, that's kind of more on you than the guy that did it to you. Because you were clearly not training, you were clearly not practicing, you were clearly not learning, you were just using this thing as exercise. I used to eat, breathe, and sleep martial arts. Understand that all I think about, besides boobs, is martial arts. Not just anime, real life martial arts. because it's the only thing that I've ever had in my life that no one could take from me, that nothing can stop me from doing. Nothing. Until I had to have this hip replacement. I even trained when I had my hip replaced, even though I wasn't supposed to. I didn't train hard, but I trained. I mostly did hands. I mostly did Wing Chun, the patter game, and the push game. And I had to do it by myself because, no one's going to come and sit in an old man's chair and do the push game with me. But the thing is, I didn't stop martial arts because I wanted to. I stopped martial arts because the doctor said, if you want to be able to walk for the rest of your life, you're going to have to not do Kung Fu. And also, if you keep doing Kung Fu, you're going to speed this up. And you're going to need another hip replacement before you're 60. We're trying not to have that happen. Now, before I got my hip replacement, they wanted me to quit my job. I had bills to pay. And they wanted me to go live at McGuire for a fucking year to see what they could do to prevent this. Because, bone deterioration doesn't really heal. But they can prolong it, But when they found out how bad it was, it's like, you know what? We can't even go with that. We can't even go with that because, you need your hip replaced, like, immediately. How long was your hip fucked up? I said, my hip was not fucked up. The Army said it was my knee. It's like, well, somebody dropped the ball, son, because it's been your hip the whole time. It's like, but my hip never hurt. It's like, yeah, you're one of those genetic freaks that feel pain in places that shouldn't be feeling pain. It's like, but they said it was bone spurs. It's like, it might be bone spurs, but your hip's fucked up. It's like, that's not possible. They gave me an x-ray. They gave me a clean bill of health. And they just kept saying that something was wrong with my knee. Again, somebody at McGuire fucked up. And I didn't get a medical discharge because I didn't know that I was fucked up. I didn't know I was fucked up because I was still taking therapy when I got home from the military for my knee. And the more therapy they gave my knee, the more they fucked up my hip. So I'm going to explain this to you one more time. Experience will be your one true teacher. If you are not doing martial arts at every capacity possible, don't call yourself a martial artist. Just say that you train, you dabble, you do certain things with martial arts. If you are a professional fighter, y'all know what I'm talking about. The guys with the cauliflower ear, they know what I'm talking about. They put that fucking work in. They put that shit in. And unlike me, they were blessed to have been given a chance. I couldn't gain weight until I turned 37 years old. I couldn't gain one drop of weight until I got into the Army. Couldn't gain no weight. Understand that. Got into the Army, got up to 135 pounds. About the time I got to 135 pounds, one of our drill sergeants, I think it was Drill Sergeant Hogan, who had came in and announced that Stone Cold was going back to the WWE and that the UFC was getting Fathom lightweight men's division. Here I am, face down at Fort Benning, Georgia, pissed the fuck off, learning fucking damn Taekwondo that I already knew, because I was in Bravo when that happened. Then, months later, I'm in Delta because I tried to kill a drill sergeant in golf, and my leg re-injured. It was all she wrote. Then I couldn't shoot. Got an honorable discharge for failure to adapt. I would have never left the Army. I never left the Army outside of a body bag. But I found out the UFC had my weight class. They had the 120-pound weight class. And I wanted to get back into that shit. But I had a fucking knee problem, which wound up being a hip problem. Then there was age. When I went into the military, I was 37. I just beat the cutoff age. Just beat it. While I was in the military, they bumped the cutoff age back to 42. I was face down in Sand Hill. Who knew? Now, here's where the fun part comes in. While I was in Bravo and while I was in Delta, I trained. The drill sergeants wouldn't let me train with them because I was on profile. But I still fucking trained in my free time. And we asked us like, well, you didn't know you knew martial arts? I said, yeah, I've been doing it since I was 7 fucking years old. There's no need for me to stop now, other than the fact that my leg's fucked up and I'm on profile. I can still train. I just can't train the fucked up leg. After my hip replacement, 3 physical trainers gave me and Kung Fu the finger. They looked me dead in the face, made me cry, and told me, James, you can never do Kung Fu. You can never do martial arts. You can never do Wushu. Ever the fuck again. It was a beautiful white lady, cool ass white dude, and a black dude. All three of those guys told me I could do Kung Fu. Got a new physical trainer from McGuire, Asian dude. Looked me dead in the face and said, "Do you want to do Kung Fu again?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Then don't worry about that shit. You can do Kung Fu. You just can't do Wushu anymore. You can't be doing tornado kicks. You can't be flying off of trees and swinging swords in the air and shit. Are you willing to give up Wushu to do other shit?" And I said, "Fuck yeah. I can lose Wushu." And I lost a lot of my fucking elements of my skills because I had to give up high flying stuff. No. Omega tornado kicks where you land on your hip, that's out. Can't do that shit anymore because I had a hip replacement. I can still fight. And I will tell you, all of you who want to do fighting and shit like that, martial arts is not a game. Martial arts has to be a way of life. I am not just quoting Fatal Fury. I am not quoting Double Dragon. I am not just quoting every teacher that has ever taught me how to throw a punch. Martial arts has to be a way of life. You gotta eat it, you gotta drink it, you gotta sleep it, you gotta piss and poop that shit out. But you gotta train. If you are not training and you get your ass beat, that's your fault. If you are training and get your ass beat, that's called a learning lesson. I hope that I've taught you something. Thanks for watching.